Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Cacao, designed by Phil Walker Harding and published by Abacusspiele. Cacao is a 45-minute game for 2 to 4 players, in which players are going to be laying out their villages within the jungle, attempting to collect cacao beans and carry out other tasks in order to score the most points by the end of the game. On a player's turn, they must take one of their own worker tiles from a hand of 3 and place it checkerboard style onto the board in play. Now, this one has 1 meeple on each side, so that's fine. They then check and see whether there's a space which has got 2 adjacent worker tiles. If there was, they'd put a jungle tile in play, and then they activate all meeples which are newly placed next to jungle tiles. In this case, this meeple will claim 1 cacao bean, and then the player may either store it in their hut or they may sell it to this market for 2 gold, which equals 2 points. If a player plays their tile so that it does leave one of those gaps, they may choose one of these 2 tiles. In this case, a red player is going to take the cacao plantation, and they've orientated so that 3 meeples are next to it, so they get 3 cacao beans, and then the white player is going to get 1 of those cacao beans, and we refill the display. And we'll carry on going in that fashion, each player taking a turn until they've gone all the way through their stack of worker tiles. And at that point, we're going to add up to the end game bonus scoring. So let's go through what each of the tiles does. With the cacao plantations, as we've seen, they're either single or double tiles, and they times the number of cacao bean plantations by the number of meeples next to it. So in this case, this would get me a whopping 6 cacao beans, which is a shame because you can only store 5 of them in your village at any one time. So in order to get rid of some of those, I'm going to want to get a market into play. In order to bring the market into play, in this case, I get to place 2 tiles because there's a gap there already. That was neither good nor bad for us because no one gets to use it. So my next tile might go there. That'll allow me to sell 2 beans and score 8 points, which I collect in the form of tokens. The other tiles that can come into play are as simple as a gold mine. By placing that there, yellow is going to be able to collect 1 gold, and subsequent players are going to be able to do it. We also have water holes. Now for water holes, for every meeple adjacent to it, you get to move your water carrier 1 space along the water track on your village. And at the end of the game, wherever your water carrier ends up, that's how many points you're either going to score or you're going to lose if you've done particularly poorly. There are sun worshipping areas. And for every meeple that you have adjacent to a sun worshipping area, you get to take 1 of these discs. You can have a maximum of 3 of them at any point during the game. Now, while they are worth 1 point at the end, what you will find is that the jungle stack is going to run out before everyone has played all of their worker tiles. And at that point, you're reduced to sort of nibbling around the edges, putting in and trying to do as best you can around the edge of the board, unless you have these sun tokens, because when you have a sun token, you can overbuild on top of a already placed tile, and you get to activate it again and get more effects from the same tile earlier on. The last type is this temple tile. And temples do not score until the end of the game, in which we check and see who has got the most meeples adjacent to each of the temples. And whoever's got the majority, in this case it's yellow, is going to score 6 points, and whoever's in second place is going to score 3 points. So you add up your temple points at the end of the game, the amount of money you'll be able to make from markets, where you are on the water track, and any bonuses you have for these. Cacao at the end is worth absolutely nothing. And the most points is going to win the game of Cacao. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out the Game Pit channel on YouTube. And for more in-depth coverage of games, please find the Game Pit podcast.